Okay, so 3.2, a perfectly competitive market. A firm is a buyer in markets where it purchases inputs and a seller in markets where it offers its outputs. In chapters 3, 4, and 5, we will consider firms operating in perfectly competitive markets. In this type of market, each firm chooses how much of each input to buy and how much of its output to produce, but the firm cannot change the price it pays for its inputs or the price it charges for its outputs. This is clearly not true in several markets. Every year, when a big tech company is about to release the new version of its smartphone, there is a great anticipation regarding its price choice for the new model. Moreover, we often hear about big companies cutting deals and negotiating the price they pay for certain inputs. This happens, for example, when a big company negotiates wages with the labor union. Although not every market is perfectly competitive, this type of market is an important starting point for our analysis. When we say that a market is perfectly competitive, we have four main assumptions in mind. First, products are fairly homogeneous. In practice, this means that sellers offer more or less the same product and buyers do not care from which producer they purchase the item. Second, the market is characterized by a large number of sellers and buyers who are small relative to the overall size of the market. This rules out markets in which one or a few large firms donate most of the market's. Third, buyers and sellers have enough information about the current market conditions. Lastly, there is a free entry and free exit or free mobility. What this means is that existing firms can freely exit the market without any outside restrictions, and that new firms can enter the market and replicate the technologies of existing firms with no barriers to starting up a new business. The free mobility characteristic is said to exist in the long run, which we define in more detail in section 3.4.6. Yes, so we have that there. It seems a little strange here, yes, but they're literally just defining a perfectly competitive market. Yeah. Okay, so together these assumptions describe the key features of a perfectly competitive market, the most important being that buyers and sellers take market price as a given or as a parameter in making their decisions. The rationale is that each individual seller or buyer believes that its decisions about how much to produce or how much to purchase cannot affect the overall market price for that product or service. Moreover, each seller or buyer believes that its decisions on what to do will not affect the decision of other sellers and buyers, i.e., there is no strategic interaction in their behavior. Approximate examples of perfect competition are some standardized agricultural products such as apples, oranges, grapes, wheat, corn, and soybeans. Moreover, some retail markets in major cities or over large geographic areas approximate perfect competition. For example, think about a small farmer producing tomatoes and selling them at a local farmer's market. Suppose the farmer arrives at the market with his truck full of tomatoes and finds that there are a dozen of other producers selling the same tomato at $3 per pound. Yeah, what should the farmer do if he tries to sell for a price higher than three? No one will buy from him. There are many other sellers offering the same product for less. Also, it does not make sense for him to sell at a price below three. He is a small producer in a big market, so he should be able to sell all tomatoes in his truck for the prevailing price of $3. Hence, once he arrives at the market, the farmer does not really pick a price. He takes the prevailing price as given and sells his tomatoes at the price. Therefore, the farmer's real decision is how many pounds of tomatoes to produce and bring to the market in the first place. That is, the farmer chooses a quantity Q given his belief about what the market price P will be. We assume that the farmer has enough information about the market to form a correct belief about the market price P. We will delay the discussion of how his market price is determined until chapter 5. In this chapter, we will see how these so-called demand and supply functions determine market price. Uh, yeah, chapter 5, that's kind of a doozy of a chapter. In that chapter, we will see how the so-called demand and supply functions determine market price. For now, it is enough to keep in mind that the firm understands the competitive market and knows the prevailing prices. The same holds for the inputs that the farmer purchases. Many small farmers are purchasing inputs, e.g., fertilizers, from many small producers, and the input price is determined by the competitive market. Importantly, the farmer is not worried about how his decisions of how much output to produce and how much inputs to purchase will affect the behavior of other sellers or the price in the market. The farmer's choices are not relevant for the market because the farmer is too small to affect the market price. Yes, drags on there at the end, but the beginning of that is more important. The end is just we have to take out the ideas of 3.2 there. Okay, so we had just defined a perfectly competitive market, so we just have to understand the ideas that they kind of present there, how they define the perfectly competitive market. So this is the production function, not descriptive at all. It's going to take more than one video to describe the production function. We kind of do our best now, but just to kind of say this does kind of start, it gets a lot harder, but the math kind of starts with this guy right here. That's what the production function is, yeah. But it's literally the quantity, yeah, the quantity we produce, yeah, as a function of what it is L labor, and K is actually capital. So there's have to be certain countable quantities, usually like integers or something like that. I don't just want to comment on it in too much detail. We want to define it well, but L is labor and K is capital, and they are broken down to some sort of very easy numerical value. There is a long definition to kind of describe L and K, labor and capital, but in the end, we use them in this book as very simple quantities to do math. But we very slowly, it takes a few videos, we very slowly creep up on the math here. Um, it takes a while to kind of get into the math. We're going to do math with it, but we just have to define all of this nitty-gritty stuff before we actually do the math here. Okay, so I think we do the production function is what that is in the next video. Yeah, so we'll kind of start this one in the next video.